Welcome to the Math Record. Today I'll be covering the CCML Algebra 1 contest for 2019-2020 Division A. So we just took this contest a few hours ago, so I hope they aren't gonna copyright me for infringing or anything. I'm just gonna go through every single question one by one. I'm gonna timestamp the questions on the description below if you want to find out. Okay, number one, g of x is 5x squared minus 3. Evaluate g of 2. So put x is equal to 2, so that's 4. So 5 times 4 minus 3, that's 20, minus 7 is 17. And that's your answer. Number one, pretty easy. Number two, solve for coordinate xy. Okay, so we have these two equations. 2x plus y is equal to 5, and x minus y is equal to 7. So we're just gonna add, so then it eliminates, right? So 2x plus x gets 3x, plus y minus y cancel each other out. 5 plus 7 is 12. So x is equal to 4. So x is equal to 4. Plug in back into this equation because it looks easier. So then if x is equal to 4, that means y equals negative 3. So your answer is 4, negative 3 in this form. You have to write as precisely this form. Okay, number three, solve for w. 6w minus 13 is greater than or equal to negative 8. So your answer's got to be inequality. So plus 13 to both sides, that makes a 5. So w is greater than or equal to 5 over 6. You can just write it like that. Or you can write it as like interval notation, which is just 5 over 6 to infinity. Sorry, it's curvy, and that's rectangular. So like that. Okay. And number four, determine the slope of a line that passes through the point negative 3, 5 and negative 1, 11. So that's a common fraction. So slope is just changing y over change x. So 11 minus 5 over negative 1 minus negative 3. So plus 3 actually, because negative is positive. So 6 over 2 equals 3. And that's your answer. Okay. Number five. Solve for v, where the absolute value of 2v plus 9 is less than or equal to negative 1. Okay, the answer to this is really obvious, is none. There's no answer for this because the absolute value means this side has to be positive. Since this side is positive and the other side is negative, that's not possible because there's no points to intersect. So there's no possible answer. Okay, number six. Solve for x, where 5 absolute value of x minus 3 equals 20, right? So now they're both positive, so it makes sense. So x minus 3 absolute value is equal to 4, equals to 4. So easy way is to think about this as 4. So 4 away from 3 is 7, and 4 behind 3 is negative 1. So those are your two answers. But if you want to do it by hand, it's got to be leave this by itself, so x minus 3, and set that equals to 4. Or you can multiply this by negative, which makes negative x plus 3. And actually, let's kind of separate it a little further so it looks nicer. So it'll be x minus 3 is equal to 4. Or multiply the inside by negative, so negative x plus 3. And then leave the other side the same. Leave everything else the same. So then x is equal, plus 3 to both sides, so x equals 7. And this side would be negative x is equal to 1, right? Because 4 minus 3 is 1. And then x equals negative 1, right? So it's the same thing. Okay, so your answer is a negative 1 and 7. You have to write both of them down. Okay, number 7. If f of x equals 2x divided by x minus 3, and g of x is equals 5x minus 7, evaluate f of g of 4. Okay, so we know f of x is equal to 2x over x minus 3. That's a 2. I would just rewrite it so it looks nicer. 2x over x minus 3. And we got g of x is equal to 5x minus 7. Okay, let's actually move these further apart so we don't get confused. Okay, and then we have to find f of g of 4. So we're going to work inside out, so put 4 into g first. So that 5 times 4 minus 7, that's 20, minus 7 is 13. Now you're going to have f of 13, right? So that's going to put into this one, which is 2 times 13, and 13 minus 3. So that is 10 on the bottom, 2 and 13 on top. Cancel out the 2 from top and bottom, and you're left with 13 over 5 as your answer. And that should be answer for number 7. Okay. Number 8. Given f of x is equal to 5 and g of x is 9x minus 2. Okay, so let's write this all out just in case you can't see it. And g of x equals 9x minus 2, and h of x. Okay, so h of x is equal to 7x. I'm gonna distribute it out, so it's gonna be 7x plus 7. It's 7 times parentheses x plus 1. X plus 1 is in that parentheses. Okay, so we have to find f of g of x is equal to a g of h of x. Okay, so whatever f of x is outside, it doesn't matter what this is inside because f is already defined as 5, so you can't change anything about it. So 5 is equal to. Now we have h of x. So h of x is going to substitute into g of x. So 9, and then h of x goes into that x. So 7x plus 7 minus 2. So 5, let's add the 2 to the other side already. So that's going to be a 7. And then this is going to be 63x plus 63. So minus 63 from that side, we have negative 56 over a 63. Oh, sorry. We're going a little bit further. Equals 63x, right? And then divide 63 by both sides to equal x, and then simplify. So 8 is just basically 8 times 7. Put a negative in there just in case, and then put a 9 and a 7. So we tease two sevens, get those out. So negative 9 over negative 8 over 9 is your answer for number 8. Okay, number 9. Okay, given f of x equals x minus 4, x minus 2, x plus 2, and x minus 4. So f of x equals x minus 4, x minus 2, x plus 2, x plus 4. Okay, and then you find f of negative 2. And the answer is really obvious. It's going to be 0. Because if you put a negative 2 in here, that's 0. So whatever these numbers come out to, it doesn't really matter. Because anything times 0 is going to be 0. So your answer is just going to be 0 for number 9. Okay, number 10. Determine the value of 3x minus 2y okay, so we need to find 3x minus 2y. Okay, and our equation is 7x plus 2y is equal to 13. And this one is x plus 6y is equal to 3. Okay, so let's just multiply this equation by negative 3, right? So we're going to cancel out the y's. So that's negative 21 plus this one is negative 20x. Negative 6y plus this 6y is 0, right? So that's why we multiply this by negative 3. And negative 3 times 13 is negative 39, plus this 3 is negative 36, right? And then 36 divided by 20, right? The negative cancel each other's out. So then that's divided by 4 is 9, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. Okay, so we got x is equal to 9 over 5. So using that, we could plug it into one of these equations to get the other one. So let's do this one because it looks easier. So this one is 9 over 5, right? 9 over 5 plus 6y is equal to 3. So what's y? Well, 3 is the same thing as 15 over 5. 15 over 5 minus 9 over 5 is 6 over 5. 6 over 5 divided by 6 is 1 over 5. So that's your y. Okay, so doing a bit of mental math, right? And then we're not looking for x and y, right? We're looking for this, 3x minus 2y. So plug it in. So 9 over 5 times 3 is 27 over 5 minus 2 times 1 over 5 is 2 over 5, which gets us 25 over 5, or simplified is 5. And that's your answer for number 10. Okay, so that was the first 10 questions. Should be pretty simple. Number 11, given that 2 of repeating 12. Okay, so the trick with these that are repeating, whatever the amount of digits there is the same amount of digits for the amount of nines. So what I mean is that if there's a 12 repeating, it's just going to be 12 over 99. If it's just like 1 repeating, right, it's going to be 1 over 9, right? Or if there's like 1, 2, 3 repeating, it's just 999, okay? So that's basically how you do it. It's pretty simple. Okay. So using that, minus 3, and then the same thing, 6 over 9 multiplied by x. Okay, so we're not gonna like make it improper right now because that's gonna be a waste of time. So 5 over 1 over 9 x, and then minus a 4 over 21 over 99, right? So we don't have, so the reason I said it was a waste of time is because now we have all these numbers with 9s and 99s, and it should be really easy to cancel out. So let's move all, since I see this side is positive and this side is negative for the variables, I'm gonna move this variable to this side and the constant to that side. So add the 21 over 99 to this. So 4 plus 2 is 6. The 21 plus the 12 is 33 over 99. 33 divided by 99 is just 1/3, right? So it's easy simplifying. And then move this one to this side, right? So 5 plus 3 is 8. And then 1 plus 6 is 7. So 7 over 9. Okay, so now we could start making it proper. So that's 18, 19, 19 over 3. Okay, so that's 72, 79. So that's 79 over 9. That's x, right? So to find the x is 19 over 3 times 9 over 79, right? Because you multiply both sides by 9 over 79, 9 over 79, right? So this cancels out, and then we just get x. So that gives us 3 cancel out with 9 cancel out with 3 on this bottom. So 3 times 9 is that's 38 and 57, 57 over 79. And that should be your answer for number 11. Okay. Number 12, a farmer has 54 pigs and chickens. Okay, so let's kind of write that out. So pigs plus, oops, plus C. I can't, yeah, I'm kind of illiterate right now. Okay, pigs plus chickens equals 54. So the reason I did that is because usually when they give questions like this and they give this to amount, you're going to be solving a system. So if a farmer has 2 fewer chickens, so chickens minus 2, she would have 3 times as many pigs that she has chickens. So right now she has 3 times amount of chickens. So to set that equal to, so the amount right now, you have to multiply 3 to the pigs. So 3 times pigs, right? So actually, wait, let me read that again. She would have 3 times as many pigs as she does chickens. Oh, so yeah, she has 3 times as many pigs than she has chickens. So to get the chickens equal to the pigs, you gotta multiply the chickens by 3. Sorry about that. Right, so that's 3c minus 6. Move the p to the other side, so minus p equals 0. Okay, so we don't need that equation anymore because we already simplified to this. So now we could see the p and then negative p, so we could add those together, and so we could just add by elimination. So c plus 3c is 4c minus 6, and then the negative p plus this p is 0, right? So 54 is on this side. Add the 6 to the side, so 60. So C equals 15. So we have 15 chickens, but we need to find pigs, right? So that's not what we're looking for. So we could just plug into the first equation. So if C equals 15, that means the other number, which is P, is 19, is 39, which is your answer for number 12. Okay. Okay, number 13 and 14. For problems 13 and 14, the graph of f of x consists of 2 line segments, as shown to the right. So it's this picture. And g of x is equal to the absolute negative 1 of absolute value. So negative of absolute value of x minus 1 and plus 6 outside. Okay, so determine f of g of negative 4. So f of g of negative 4. So work inside out. So negative 4 into this equation. So negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. Absolute value of that is 5. And then negative 1 times that 5 is negative 5 plus 6 is 1. So we had to find f of 1 now. Okay, so looking at our picture, we have 1 and go up. That's 4. So our answer is 4. Basically just that simple. That's a 4. Okay. Sorry if it's kind of hard to look. I could zoom in. Okay. Hope that's easier to look at now. But let's kind of look at this question first. So we have number 14. So g of f of 1.5. Okay, so we need to find f of 1.5 first. So look at the picture. So halfway between 1 and 2. That looks like a 3 to me. So let's use a 3. So we have g of 3. So if we put in 3 in here, it's got to be 3 minus 1, which is 2. Absolute value of 2 is 2. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. And negative 2 plus that 6 is 4. So we're just following the equation. And we should get an answer of 4 again for number 14. Okay. And that should be good. And that's basically how you do those two, right? You just look at the graph and then transition to look at the linear equation, the absolute value. Okay, so solve for A. So 3 over A plus 7 over B is equal to 2. and we have 4 over a minus 5 over b is equal to 9. Okay, this might look hard, but imagine we have two variables. Let's say our x and y, right? Imagine your x is 1 over a, imagine your y is 1 over b. Okay, so remember what we're solving for. We're looking for a, which is this number right here, right? So we're only going to focus on the x, so we're going to be canceling the y. So remember that. So we're going to substitute 1 over a here, so that's going to be 3x plus 7, so 1 over b over here, so that's 7y is equal to 2. And 1 over a here, so 4x minus 5y is equal to 9, right? Remember what I said about solving for x and canceling out the y's, right? So we're going to cancel out the y's, which looks already pretty good to cancel, right? So let's move this up because we don't need those numbers anymore. Okay, so we're going to multiply the first equation by 5 and the second equation by 7, right? So that's going to be 15x plus 35y is equal to 10. And that's 28x minus 35y is equal to 63. Adding them together, that cancels the y, and that should be 43x is equal to 73. So x is equal to 73 over 43, right? But remember, x is equal to 1 over a, right? What we have put in here. So we just had to set that equal to each other. So x equals 73 over 43, right? Um, so that would be equal to our 1 over a, right? So if we just take the reciprocal of this, that means reciprocal of this number, which is 43 over 73, is equal to a, which is what we're looking for. So instead of finding like these really weird numbers like 3 over a plus 7 over b, we just do the math like this and just get 43 over 73, which is a lot faster and easier to look at. Number 16, if f of x is equal to 2x, okay, so f of x equals to 2x over x minus 3, right? And g of x is equal to 5x minus 7. So just in case you know if you never took the CCML, they're not gonna write like equations like this. The reason I wrote it like this is because the Google Docs doesn't really know how to do it, or not that I know of. So I just wrote like this, and I don't actually have the contest, so I wrote this out on a Google Doc. Determine the value of a such that f of g of a, right, is equal to 5. So we have to find a. Okay, so since we're getting the output to get to the input, what we're gonna have to do is that we're gonna work from outside in. So we need to find when f of x is equal to 5. So that's 2x, right? Because f is the outside equation. So that's going to be x minus 3. So that's be 5x minus 15, right? So 5 times x, 5 times negative 3 is 5x minus 15. And then put the 2x, and then 3x, right? And then move 15 to the other side because I like to keep the variable positive. So x is equal to 5. Okay, so we got x is equal to 5. So we know that's true. And now we're going to plug in. So that means this variable where x is equal to 5, right? And that will give us our 5 output. So that means g of a, which is where x is equal to 5, has to equal 5, right? So that means g of a, which is our x, which is 5x minus 7, has to equal to 5. So 5x is equal to 12. So x is equal to 12 over 5. Okay, and that's your answer for number 16. And that's like a really fast way to do it. Instead of plugging in g of x into f of x and simplifying that and then finding out what that x is when it's 5, which is way too long. This is a lot more direct approach. Okay, so number 17, solve for t such that the absolute value, oh, that looks bad, absolute value of t minus the absolute value of 2t plus 1, close absolute value, is equal to 8. Okay, so like what we did before for absolute value, we either keep it positive or change it to negative. So it'd be t minus, imagine this was already positive 8, so just get be t minus absolute value of 2t plus 1, absolute value is equal to 8. Or if this was already negative, if this was negative, we had to make it positive, so it's going to be negative t plus a 2t plus 1 equals 8, right? So we have these two equations. So I usually like to keep the variable in front of the absolute value positive. So I'm going to move this thing to this side and the 8 to the other side. So we're going to have t minus 8 is equal to absolute value of 2t plus 1, right? So it keeps track of like what I need to do with this. So if you prefer another method, that's fine too. Just make sure it's right. So now we have to simplify this part too. So 2t plus 1, since they're very positive, so I'm going to keep on this side, is going to be t plus 8 on this side. Okay, and let's actually kind of move this equation on top, right? Because we don't need that equation anymore because we're simplifying. So now we're going to do the same thing here. So now we're going to have 4 possibilities, right? Because there's 2 from here and 2 from here. So if the if the inside was positive, just leave it. So 2t plus 1. Or if the inside was negative, we're going to have to multiply by negative 1. So 2t minus 1. Or this one is going to be 2t plus 1, right? Equals t plus 8. Or 2t, negative. If this was negative, multiply by negative. So negative 2t minus 1 equals t plus 8. So doing each scenario, so let's do this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, okay? So we're going to have 4 possibilities, and we have to check for which ones work. So this one's going to be move the 1 to this side, so that's negative 9, and that makes t, right? Because 2t minus t is negative 9. 2t minus t is 1. So this one's going to be negative 9. So we have negative 9 as one of our answers. Okay, now let's do this one. So 2t to go, negative 2t goes to this side, so that's 3t. And then that one is plus 8, so that's 7. So it's got to be 7 over 3. Okay, and then we have this equation, which is going to be minus t to the side, so it's just t. So 8 minus 1 is 7. Okay, so that's simple. Now add the negative 2t to this side, so that's 3t. And then negative 1 minus 8, negative 9. So negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. Okay, so which ones work in our equation? Well, all you have to do is just kind of plug it in. So you plug in negative 9 in here, that's negative 18 plus 1. Uh, so that's negative 17, which is changed to positive 17 because that's absolute value. So then negative 9 minus 17. Okay, so this is not going to work because it's got to be way too big. It's got to be like negative 26. And then absolute value makes 26, so that doesn't work. Okay, now you plug in 7 over 3 here. That's 14 over 3. 14 over 3 plus 1 is 17 over 3. So a positive is just still 17 over 3. So we have to minus, right? So then that's 7 over 3, which is negative 10 over 3, which doesn't even simplify to the right number, right? So that is not correct either. Now we plug in 7. So you plug in 7, that's 14, that's 15. So minus 15. Okay, so then the still was 7. So then 7 minus 15 is negative 8, positive version. So that works. Okay. Now we need to check negative 3. So if you plug in negative 3 into the equation, that's negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. So that makes positive 5 because that's the absolute value, minus. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. A positive value of that is 8. So that works. So that was kind of long. So another way you could actually kind of test this is that since these two equations came from this one, all we have to do is just plug in these numbers here. So that's got to be make a negative on this side, which doesn't work because it's positive, so this is not going to work. Now you plug in this one here, that makes a negative also, which this is positive, so this doesn't work. So those you can immediately eliminate. Now you plug in this one here, that's 15, that works. Put a negative 3 here, that's 5. Okay, that also works because they both have to be positive. So these are definitely going to work. So those are your two answers instead of doing all that math, which is kind of a lot slower. But I showed you the process just in case you ever want to do it by hand. So number 17, the answer was 7 and negative 3. Okay, now solve for W. So negative absolute value 3, W minus 1 is less than W minus 2. So as I said further, I like to keep the absolute value 1 here positive, so I'm going to divide by negative 1. So it's gonna be when you're dividing by with the inequality, you're gonna have to change the sign. So less than becomes greater than. So negative w plus 2. Okay, so we're gonna have 3w minus 1 is greater than, negative w plus 2. Or we have 3w minus 1, or negative 3w plus 1 is greater than negative w plus 2. Good. So add the w here, so that's 4w. And then add the 1, which is a 3, so w is greater than 3 over 4. And then add the negative 3w this way, so that's gonna make 2w, and then it's less than 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So divide by 2 is negative 1 half, right? So W has to be less than negative 1 half, and W has to be greater than 3/4. Okay, so you could just write like this, and that's your answer, right? So it has to be, so if you kind of have to draw a number line, and this is like 0, and this is like negative 1 half, and this one's like 3/4. Your answer would be open circle, and then go to the right, and then open circle, go to the left. Okay, so anything in between doesn't work. Number 19, how many gallons of solution A, which is 30% acid, must be mixed with 12 gallons of solution B, which is 70% acid, to create a solution that's 40% acid? Okay, so the amount of gallons, let's call that AX. So then we're gonna have the amount of acid over the amount of total, right? So we have to write that the amount of acid, which is 30% in A, so 0.3 times X over X so far. And then we must be mixed with 12 gallons of B, so plus 12 on the bottom, that's the total amount. And then of that 12%, 70% is acid, right? And that should be simplified to 40%, which is just 4 over 10, right? You could write zero point 0.4, but I like to write as fraction already. So then we're going to cross multiply. So then zero point 0.3 times 10 is 3, and then with x. And then 12 times zero point 0.7 times 10. The zero point 0.7 times 10 is 7, so 7 times 12 is plus 84. Okay, 4 times x, 4x. 4 times 12 is 48. Subtract the x, the 3x, so that's x. Subtract the 48, that goes up to 50, so that's 34, that equals 36. Okay, perfect. So we need 36, which is basically just that simple. You could put gallons as units if you want, but you really don't have to. You really just need to write the number. Number 20, the last one. Okay, so determine the area of the region formed by the intersection. Absolute value of x is less than 4, less than or equal to 4. Okay, so let's kind of draw like a somewhat graph so we could get a visual look of how this is. So let's say that's negative 4 and that's 4. So if it's x absolute value or x less than these numbers, that means it's all these numbers in between. Okay, so that's our like shaded for now. So now we have 2x minus y is greater than negative 5. So move the y to the other side and then move the negative 5 to this side. So 2x plus 5 is greater than y. So then we have a 5 here, right? And then it goes by a slope of 2. So let's kind of do this precisely. So if we put negative 4 in here, that's negative 8 plus 3 is negative. So it's going to be somewhere like this-ish. Okay, so how do we know which side? Do we color this side or do we color this side? Well, what I like to do is I like to plug in points. So I see a 0, 0 here, which is really easy to plug in. So you plug in 0 here, that's 5, which is greater than 0. Okay, so that works. So it's going to be this bottom section. Okay, which is good to know. So just remember that because we had to put another line. So the next line is x is greater than negative y, right? So x is greater than negative y, which is gonna be let's move the y positive, so move y this side and move x this side, or you could just multiply by negative, which is the same thing. So we're gonna have negative x is less than y. Okay, so our actual equation, it would be like y is equal to negative x, so it's gonna be something like this, right? And then if you plug in, we can't use 0, 0 anymore, so let's try something like right here, like 3, 0, right? So let's see if that works. So negative 3, 0 is greater than negative 3. Okay, so that works. So remember our section here was going down, and this section here is going up. So the overlap is going to be this triangle. Okay, so now we just need to find that those points of intersection, and we should be fine. So remember this equation is going to be our 2x plus 5 is equal to y. And this equation is going to be our negative x is equal to y. And this equation is where x is equal to 4. So plug in 4 here, right? Because we need to find these two intersections, which is going to be 4. Plug in 4 here, so that's 8 plus 5 is 13. Plug in 4 here, so that's going to be negative 4, right? Now I have to find this point of intersection, which is just these two lines together. Okay, so that would be 2x plus 5 is equal to negative x, and then plus add that 3 minus 5. So your x is negative 5 over 3. Okay, so that point is negative 5 over 3. Oops. And then we can plug it back into this equation because it looks easier to do. So negative 5 over 3 times negative 1 is just 5 over 3. So that's our y, right, which is this point. Now, if you think about it, this is just a triangle, right? I mean, which is what I said earlier, but it's something like this, right? And that's perpendicular already because this is already like some kind of like base. So now we just have to find that length. So it goes from negative 4 to 13, right? That's a length of 17. So your base is length 17. So what's our height? What's this length? Well, it's just gonna be from negative 5.5 over 3 to 4. So that's gonna be, so this is the same thing as 12 over 3. So 12 over 3 plus 5 over 3 is 17 over 3, right? And then that's your height. So base times height times 1/2 should be your area. So 17 times 17 is 289, and 3 times 2 is 6. So that's your final answer for number 20. Okay. Overall, it should be a relatively simple contest, even though there's no calculator allowed for contest 4. So that would be the general solutions of how to do it. If any questions, just leave it in the description below, and maybe I might read it and answer. Okay, thanks for watching.